Legends and myths follow seamlessly in the footsteps of life. As cultures grow and thrive, they are always eager to observe the world around them and form an atlas of explanations, correlations, and beliefs based on that. Often, these beliefs are scattered and uncertain, which eventually gives rise to folklore and mythology. The main continent is, consequently, brimming with stories from the fog-woven past, many featuring creatures and phenomena that do not match any current official findings. This is a situation that the Hunters Guild had learned to appreciate rather than to dismiss. Legends have origins, and following them to their root more often than not revealed something valuable about our world, and equally as often led to the discovery of new monster species. As part of the third generation's research push and based on previous experiences, the guild decided to follow up on a legend passed down among the blacksmithing unions for generations: the Treasure Spring. This tale tells of a special place located somewhere within the volcanic peninsula of the continent. At this location, gemstones, valuable ores, and liquid gold are said to emerge from the soil itself, gushing out of the earth like a fountain of wealth. It is a story that comes up among blacksmiths and miners across history under various names, and the guild deemed it worth investigating as a result. The investigation sent various reconnaissance teams into different volcanic zones, usually with a local guide that was familiar with the version of the legend told in that region. One such expedition was sent to the enigmatic Fire Country, an odd but overall welcoming tribal culture that lives near the volcanic regions. Within their territory stands a lonesome volcano, surrounded on one side by the sea and on the other by forest. Guided by a representative of the tribe, guild researchers ventured into the area, both to search for the treasure spring and to aid the tribe with bizarre tremors that had besieged their towns for some time. Sure enough, the earth trembled near the volcano, quakes that seemed unrelated to the erupting mountain. Penetrating deeper into the lonesome volcano revealed that the cause for these tremors was in fact a monster. Due to physiological similarities to the, at the time, recently discovered Baroth, it was designated as a brute wyvern and given the name Uragaan. Like most brute wyvern, the Uragaan is a heavy-set bipedal wyvern with a long tail and muscular hind legs. Similar to the Baroth, it's covered in a thick armor shell that greatly increases its weight. But one thing that immediately distinguishes the Uragaan even from afar is its stance. While the Baroth and later discovered brute wyvern hold their spines at various angles, Uragaan are almost always seen with their spines aligned perfectly horizontally. This is a first indication that while brute wyvern as a whole are known to be heavy, Uragaan are on an entirely different level of weight and density that requires careful balancing of the body. This weight is a direct result of the wyvern's diet. Like the Gravios, Uragaan eat rocks and ore. While they appear to have a particular preference for machalite, these wyverns are known to devour most kinds of stone and mineral. Due to this particular diet, the Uragaan is an incredibly dense creature, as the repurposed material from the stone it devours finds its way into its tissue. Most notable is the golden shell that covers the beast. This shell is made from countless scales, which are said to glow faintly due to the unique mineral compositions within them. They harden over time as more and more ore material is layered onto them, with some scales even fully fusing together in the process. The resulting armor is exceptionally tough, with the scutes that protect sensitive organ regions of the body being the hardest parts by far. In some individuals, the shell can even merge and fuse with itself, creating a nearly indestructible type of tissue called a pallium, which represents the pinnacle of the Uragan's defense abilities. In addition to the weight and physical resistance, the shell is also heat-proof and grants the wyvern thermal insulation, a vital adaptation for life in the volcano. Being so well armored, the Uragaan fears few natural predators and gets to focus its attention on eating as much energy-rich ore as possible. To access the best quality rocks, it uses its most distinctive feature, its massive protruding underjaw. By smashing it down, the Uragaan can use this jaw to crash through rock walls and access mineral deposits, as well as breaking those deposits down into more ingestible chunks. This makes the jaw incredibly important for feeding, and as such, it plays a large role in the wyvern's life. An Uragaan's jaw grows continuously throughout its entire life, with older individuals possessing massive underbites. But even this size is evidently not enough. Uragaan have been discovered to seek out magmatic spots in volcanoes to coat their jaws in a thick layer of molten rock and metal. This is not a minor makeover either. The molten rock burns through specialized parts of the skin and fuses directly onto the jawbone, becoming a permanent addition to the Uragaan's body. By increasing the size and weight of the jaw through this, more feeding grounds open up to the Uragaan, which becomes able to crack harder types of rock. The jaw enhancements serve another purpose too. It represents a part of the Uragaan's body that it can fine-tune the weight of. As the body is so heavy and long, an Uragaan will carefully adjust the weight and shape of its jaw to optimize its center of mass and weight distribution to ensure the stability of its stance and movement. Studying the life of the Uragaan has revealed one thing above all. When an organism evolves to eat rocks, it has to expend an enormous amount of evolutionary effort to remain viable. Stone and ore appear much harder to digest, and the consequences of such a diet themselves require adaptations to compensate for. This is exemplified in maybe one of the strangest features of the Uragaan. The digestion of rock material in its body has been confirmed to rely on colonies of bacteria that live in its stomach and extract energy from the stone it eats. While this completely removes the danger of food precarity for the Uragaan, rocks are plentiful everywhere after all, the extraction process in the stomach is incredibly slow and energy inefficient. Not only that, but it also creates a thick, flammable gas that causes discomfort if left to accumulate in the body. But nature always finds a way, and the Uragaan has an especially clever set of solutions for the difficulties of living off of rocks. By following individual Uragaan around, researchers discovered that the wyvern nests and sleeps exclusively on deposits of mineral tar, a viscous liquid substance that sometimes emerges out of volcanic rock. This liquid is extremely sticky and adheres to the underside of the wyvern as it sleeps and rests. This appears to be intentional, as it plays a vital role in what comes next. After eating its fill of rocks and settling them inside of its stomach to digest, the Uragaan will not stop searching for more rocks. Instead, it will find more potential food and stick it to its underside, letting the tar hold the rocks in place. Once the underside is holding multiple rocks in this manner, the Uragaan displays its ingenious adaptation. The gas that is produced as the wyvern's stomach digests rocks is usually stored and contained in a dedicated sac-like organ. In order to dispose of the gas, the Uragaan has special vents on the underside of its body that can spew it out in bursts, alleviating the pressure inside of its stomach. The rocks it sticks to its tar are often placed near these vents, and as the gas is expelled, it envelops the rocks and begins reacting with them. Once heated and catalyzed by the gas, the rocks begin breaking down into a state in which they will be much easier to digest later on. Through this mechanism, the Uragaan can use its underside as an external pre-digestive step, which enhances its ability to extract energy from the rocks once it ingests them later. Using this incredible adaptation, the Uragaan completely circumvents the energy inefficiency of rock digestion, and additionally finds itself with a portable food storage it can partake in whenever necessary. Because of this, the wyvern is not nearly as sluggish as one might think. Uragaan are active and aggressive creatures, able to stand their ground and battle ferociously. Their main method of locomotion, as well as their primary weapon in battle, is as fascinating as their digestion. Instead of walking, Uragaan mostly move around by rolling their bodies into a wheel and barreling across the rocky landscapes. This allows them to reach speeds usually unheard of in brute wyvern, which are generally too heavy to effectively run. The fact that the Uragaan is even able to do this is a testament to its incredible weight distribution and balance. Along the back, Uragaan possesses 4 rows of spines that grow straight upwards. These protrusions aid in maintaining grip and balance while rolling around. Like the jaw, these spines grow continuously as the wyvern ages, which is actually detrimental. If the spines grow too long or into the wrong shape, it could negatively affect the Uragaan's ability to roll. To prevent this, Uragaan will often intentionally roll on jagged and sharp rocks to grind down these spines and keep them the right size, which is why the tops of these spines are often smooth and shiny. Energized and mobile, the Uragaan is a powerful monster that tolerates no intrusions upon its feeding grounds. It is considered fairly aggressive, and is known to regularly engage in territorial disputes against other volcanic inhabitants, such as, for example, the Lavasioth. It will usually attack foes by either rolling over them or trying to crush them with its massive jaw, both of which are deadly attacks if they connect with an enemy. It does, however, display combat abilities beyond mere brute strength. The gas produced by its digestion has strong sleep-inducing qualities when inhaled by most creatures, a fact the Uragaan seems instinctually aware of. By strategically expelling its stored gas near its opponents, the Uragaan can thus knock them out, creating an opening for a deadly finishing move. The utility of the gas does not end there, however. It is a highly flammable compound, and when the Uragaan grows enraged, its body temperature spikes alongside its anger. If an enraged Uragaan expels gas, that gas will react with the wyvern's increased body temperature and ignite instantly upon exiting the body, creating flaming explosions around the Uragaan. But the Uragaan's deadliest weapon goes a step further and simultaneously weaponizes multiple parts of its lifestyle. The rocks it stores on its underside as snacks gradually heat up through exposure to the wyvern's gas, eventually becoming highly explosive. Should an enemy prove particularly threatening, the Uragaan can fling these explosive rocks off of its body to create minefields around its opponents. by then crashing its jaw into the ground, the wyvern creates a shockwave that detonates the rocks all at once, incinerating the opponent violently. It is likely this behavior that causes the tremors that often foretell the presence of an uragaan. The uragaan is a powerful creature that spends much of its time eating rocks, fighting enemies, or resting. They are generally solitary, but like many creatures, seek each other out during the mating season. Usually, male and female uragaan are extremely hard to tell apart. Males are known to mold their jaws into larger, more impressive shapes, and it has been suggested that this might be related to social hierarchy and sexual fitness. But during the mating seasons, males become quite obvious. In order to impress the females, they begin a special diet that focuses on eating glowing or translucent ores, in hopes that those properties show up in their shell as well. The goal is to ultimately become as sparkly as possible, and some uragaan are known to even dig for gemstones and attach them to their bodies for display purposes. Courtship such as this eventually results in a new generation of juvenile uragaan, which have small chins and entirely lack the spines on the back. They begin their lives by rolling around smooth surfaces to get used to balancing on their backs. Curiously, juvenile uragaan are herbivorous and only transition into being exclusive rock eaters once they grow into adults. Uragaan are fascinating creatures, and in the many years since their discovery, they have only become more interesting. They were found to live in most known volcanic regions, and were even found in the New World. It has been noted that the New World uragaan seem to be more agile and proficient at rolling than Old World populations, perhaps a consequence of the habitat the New World population occupies, the Elder's Recess, which has many steep and curving slopes. Beyond mere scientific interest, uragaan materials also have seen increasing demand on the market. The most sought-after one is the bone marrow of an uragaan, which has powerful medicinal properties. While the discovery of the uragaan was an important milestone for the Hunters Guild and for early brute wyvern research, it also represented a possible lead in the search for the treasure spring. This here was a monster that was naturally attracted to pure ores and, during the mating season, actively sought out deposits of valuable gemstones. So perhaps a possible way to track down the treasure spring would be to identify uragaan habitats, observe the males during the mating season, and let this brute wyvern lead expeditioners to natural treasure troves. With some luck, one such location might indeed end up being the treasure spring of legend. And so, the guild set out to observe uragaan populations thoroughly. Results were slow to come in, but then, a team stationed at the lonesome volcano reported an interesting sighting. They had seen an uragaan that shone a brilliant blue, with scales that seemed to actually glow. This was the most promising case yet, and so the guild set out to track down this mysterious specimen. After some observations, it became clear that this was not the same kind of uragaan that had been previously discovered. Instead, this was a subspecies of the uragaan, sporting different colorations and a different ecology. As a result, it was classified separately under the name Steel Uragaan. Upon first glance, the Steel Uragaan shares all of the same physical adaptations seen in the common species. A large, heavy body held horizontally on two muscular legs, balanced out by a massive jaw and lines with 4 rows of spines on the back. The only immediate difference is the coloration. While the common Uragaan is brown and golden, the steel Uragaan has a much more diverse palette, sporting a gradient that goes from purple to blue to copper green at the tips of the spines. Most notably, the chin is a scorching red. Like with most subspecies discoveries, the first order of business regarding the steel Uragaan was determining what had caused it to split off and differentiate itself from the common species. After some further observation, it was noted that the steel Uragaan maintains a different diet. While it still exclusively eats rocks, it is much more selective with its meals and seeks out a particular type of ore above all else. Basic analysis of this ore showed that it was highly chemically active as a compound, prone to reacting with other materials. The effects of this diet became clear to the guild researchers after they ventured too close to the beast. The steel Uragaan is surrounded by an indescribably foul odor. It appears that the digestion of this unique ore causes the wyvern to produce a cocktail of noxious gases in such extreme quantities that they seep into its tissue and alter its properties, explaining the discoloration. Collected samples of the scales and shell revealed that they get their coloration primarily by being continuously oxidized by the exposure to the steel Uragaan's gases. Consequently, the scales themselves also smell terrible. Besides mere oxidation, a secondary chemical process is catalyzed by the ores in the shell combining with the gases, which tempers the armor of the steel Uragaan continuously. This is a constant process and is believed to only intensify as the wyvern ages. The most extreme example of this can be found on the beast's jaw, where the chemical reaction has turned the tissue into volatile sheets of scorched metal. Due to the constant smashing of the jaw and the resulting impacts, this special tissue continuously appears to be glowing with residual heat, which is why it takes on that distinct red color. Beyond this, observations of the steel Uragaan yielded few findings. Behaviorally, it is nearly identical to the common species, using its jaw to break rocks and devour them, and traveling the volcanic landscapes by rolling around. The gases it expels come in a greater variety, and possess a foul odor that causes great discomfort in humans and other monsters alike. This is considered an expanded version of the common species' gaseous defense mechanism. One curious difference that has been noted is that the steel Uragaan will sometimes form large herds and spend time together. Considering that the common species is generally solitary, this is quite unusual, and no explanation for this behavior has yet been found. Despite extended observations, neither the common nor the steel Uragaan led the guild to any noteworthy treasures. It would in fact take an entire research generation before any new hints would present themselves. Much later, during the activities of a separate research organization called the Ecology, a mining troupe described encountering a peculiar Uragaan whose body seemed to outright produce gems. The Ecology is a close collaborator of the Hunters Guild, and so, a joint research team was sent out to investigate this claim. After some grueling encounters with the beast, the guild and the Ecology determined this monster to be a deviant, and gave it the title Crystalbeard Uragaan. Like nearly all deviants, Crystalbeard Uragaan are not a separate species or population, and are instead individual Uragaan that have undergone a profound change due to unique circumstances. As deviants are quite rare, research on them tends to be slow, and that was also true for the Crystalbeard. The underlying factors that create this deviant were long unknown, so most findings focused on describing how this individual differed from regular Uragaan. A Crystalbeard Uragaan is an Uragaan whose body is covered in sparkly ores and gems. Unlike the males in the mating season, which haphazardly stick those materials to themselves for a limited time, Crystalbeard Uragaan's bodies are entirely saturated with gem material, to the point where it is fused directly into their tissue. As a result, the scales and shells of a Crystalbeard are highly reinforced, able to withstand greater impacts than is usually possible for the species. But what is perhaps most striking is that not only can the Crystalbeard stick rocks to itself like other Uragaan, but it can even recrystallize and regrow gems that it has consumed directly from its skin. The name Crystalbeard is in fact a reference to its jaw seemingly being fertile soil for the emergence of various gemstones, which grow directly from the tissue of the wyvern itself. The underlying cause of this alteration remained a mystery until researchers analyzed the tar left behind by a Crystalbeard. It was noted to be quite different from the substance that covers regular Uragaan, having a unique chemical composition that promotes crystallization and is rich in liquefied ores and gems itself. Thus, the leading theory that was proposed argued that a Crystalbeard Uragaan emerges when a regular Uragaan chooses to nest on this special gem tar, which attaches to the creature and alters its body over time. This revelation was what eventually put an end to the guild's search for the treasure spring. If this mythical deposit of riches that emerges from the rock itself truly existed, then it was likely that a Crystalbeard Uragaan was nesting on it. The gem tar on its body was considered confirmation enough that the spring probably existed, but that reaching it was likely too dangerous to be worth it. At that point, the guild had already invested a lot of time and effort into this treasure hunt, which had led to other, equally lucrative discoveries, such as Uragaan Marrow. And so, while some lone adventurers would occasionally swear to track down a Crystalbeard nest to prove the myth properly, the guild chose to cut its losses and focus its attention elsewhere. For a time, this was where the story of the Uragaan ended. A creature with many fascinating adaptations that shakes the earth with its powerful jaws. But then, one of the most significant events in guild history occurred: the departure of the New World Research Commission's 5th Fleet. For decades, the guild had been sending naval fleets into the ocean and towards the distant continent called the New World, a place that elder dragons migrated towards for unknown reasons. But while important work was done throughout its long history, the Research Commission truly blossomed with the involvement of the 5th and final fleet, which was made up exclusively of veteran hunters from all over the Hunters Guild. It was their arrival to the New World that accelerated research and turned previously scattered sightings into formal discoveries. One such discovery was that of a creature that had long been observed on the continent but never tracked down, a behemoth that thundered through the lower depths of the continent's Great Ravine. After thorough investigation, it was determined that this monster was in fact a very close relative of the Uragaan, and it was given the name Radobaan. Once one gets a good glance at it, the Radobaan's relation to the Uragaan becomes quite obvious. It too has a massive body that is held near perfectly horizontally at all times, supported by 2 muscular hind legs and balanced out by a large and heavy underjaw. But while the Uragaan is found in volcanic regions on both the old and new continent, the Radobaan is entirely endemic to the New World's Rotten Vale. Due to this, the guild believes that an ancestor of the 2 species once roamed the New World, being a creature adapted to devouring hard substances. The Radobaan's lineage then is believed to have settled in the Rotten Vale and adapted over time to the unique conditions of this specific region, splitting off from this lineage in the process. Both scientifically and colloquially, the Uragaan and Radobaan are grouped together under the name hammer wyvern. While the Uragaan is an aggressive, territorial species, the Radobaan has been noted to be much calmer and gentler, tolerating other presences as long as they don't annoy it. This might indicate that it does not have any consistent natural predators or rivals, an assumption further supported by the wyvern's enormous size compared to most other creatures in the Vale. Due to these factors, the guild has been able to further research the Radobaan and uncover all the ways in which it differs from the Uragaan. Unlike the Uragaan's hard golden shell, the skin of a Radobaan is soft and pliant, making it inherently a more flexible creature. This skin is, however, also extremely sensitive and offers no inherent protection against any occasional attacks the Radobaan might suffer. To circumvent this, the Radobaan has developed a unique lifestyle that takes full advantage of the ecosystem found in the Rotten Vale. As a giant corpse pile, the Vale is the site of a near-endless decomposition process. As a result, organic materials are repeatedly compressed and processed, eventually turning into a dark substance not unlike tar. This corpse tar springs forth in specific areas of the Vale, which the Radobaan seeks out. By rolling in the tar regularly, the Radobaan covers its entire body in the sticky substance. Like the Uragaan, the Radobaan also moves around by rolling into a wheel, and by rolling around the Vale while covered in tar, it naturally accumulates the bones of deceased monsters on its body as they stick to the black sludge. This builds up a layer of bone which serves as hard armor, granting the Radobaan physical defenses beyond what its skin can usually provide, and thus even further deters attackers. This bone armor has other benefits too. Radobaan are extremely selective in which bones they place where, and groom their protective layer constantly to optimize it. For example, the bones placed on the hips are nearly always large, sharp, curved bones that are angled upwards. This allows them to function as levers during rolling, aiding in braking and steering by digging into the ground as the creature rolls. The bones on the back, meanwhile, are short and straight, serving to give additional grip to the wyvern as it performs its rolling maneuvers. Similarly, thick and curved bones are adhered to the jaw to enhance its destructive power in case some of the monsters in the Vale are feeling particularly brave that day. This bone armor is powerful, but must be replenished continuously. As the Radobaan rolls around, bits of bone and tar fall off its body. Not too tragic, as it serves as markings of its presence. The Radobaan can even use this to its advantage by flinging chunks of bone at enemies in combat, allowing it to remain dangerous even at a distance. In order to compensate for the regular loss of bone armor though, the Radobaan must have continuous access to bones. To ensure that, Radobaan often claim the largest bone deposits of the Vale as their nesting grounds. The Radobaan does not, however, merely cover itself in bones. It eats them, too. Instead of living off of ores like the Uragaan, the Radobaan's primary source of food is soft bone tissue and the nutritious bacterial colonies that live inside of it. This specific food source only exists in the Rotten Vale, further tying the creature to this peculiar ecosystem. Using its massive jaw, it cracks open larger bones into small chunks, which it then eats and grinds down using tight rows of short, rectangular teeth. The material it ingests tends to continue reacting with itself once it reaches the stomach, where it combines with body fluids to produce powerful sleep gas, similar to the one found in Uragaan. Luckily, just like its relative, the Radobaan also has vents on the underside of its body that it can use to expel these gases. These vents are stimulated into activity when the wyvern presses its torso down against the ground. And also like its relative, the Radobaan will not hesitate to use this mechanism to knock out bothersome assailants. Armored and unbothered, the Radobaan patrols the higher layers of the Rotten Vale. Despite having adapted so thoroughly to its environment, it has no defense or countermeasure against the deadly effluvium clouds that saturate the lowest depths of the Vale, and is thus confined to the upper strata only. That does not bother the creature much, as it thrives in this environment. Rolling around the Vale, it carves out paths and shortcuts across the regions. The Radobaan mostly patrols its territory, stopping to feed on bone piles up to twice a day. Radobaan are usually solitary, but seek each other out during the mating season. While this part of the Radobaan's life is not yet fully studied, it is believed that the arrangement of the bone armor plays a key role in mate selection. Once the mating is complete, female Radobaan seek out a tar pit and bury their eggs directly in them. They then immediately abandon their eggs and never check on them again. The eggs are kept warm through thermal decomposition, as the chemical reactions within the tar pit produce a consistent level of mild heat. Once the eggs hatch, the newborn Radobaan must dig themselves out of the tar pit. As they do so, they learn how to efficiently cover themselves in tar, and upon arriving to the surface are already covered in a few small bone fragments. This is the one and only lesson granted to them by their parents, and the young spend the rest of their adolescence perfecting this skill. Much remains unknown about juvenile Radobaan, as they are very hard to spot in the wild. Thank you all so much for watching, as always, and a very big thank you to all of the people supporting the channel on Patreon and YouTube channel members. I would like to especially thank Kogath, Mr. Gayballs, Symphony Savior, British Empire, Just a Hunter, Meta Defiance, Resident Necoarch, Autumns, Anjanath Tamer's Ambience, Wandering Soul, Stormbreaker Kai, Joshua Ellison, Uth Duna is an Octopus, Chocolate Coat, Pre-Coom King, Joey Tribby 58, Makamawi, Uriv, CJ, Call the Crab, Christopher Bronson, Harper, Molly Mockery, Rose, Zyperius Volkvar, Hamburger Discord, Zaffy, Theopuz, Lufish, Morgleblank, Tacti Wolf, Thyla Zero, Jacob Coleman, Hellbuck Hunter, Shebo, M1 Have 12, Regal Eagle, Wronger 97, Quali, Matt Hat 124, My Name Gone, The Dollarfish, Sheba, Ryan Hook, Veraxis, Thick, Kuroneko, Zion H.V. Augenson, Alistair in Wonderland, Jacob the Numbnut, Soruka, Sir Newt Newt, Evie, Rambling Robin, Lex Aegis, Hashi, Black Ace 202, Dissy, Habo Himbro Mirror, Magenta Magenta, Russell, Vulgar Beast, Person 212, Claire Miboon, Oakwood Tree, Mr. Pyramid, Makot 02, Nils Schlatter, Iron Camel, and Nah, I'm going to bed. Take care everyone, happy hunting, I'll see you soon, bye bye.